Alright, what's going on my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So today we've got some crazy news happening. We have VJUMP leaks. Massive shout out to this website, Ryokuta, who are known for getting information about the VJUMP stuff early, and they do post information. Obviously they don't post images, they'll only just post the information so that people can get that, and images will start to come over the next couple of days or so. But this is some pretty interesting news because we did get a minor piece of information like last night or the day before, talking about the next treasure map unit arriving on JP. And because we saw what that treasure map unit was going to be, a lot of people already had pretty strong predictions, myself included, as to what was going to be the next Sugofest exclusive character coming to the game. However, our expectations have been averted with some very interesting VJUMP information. So first of all, shout out to Bounty Rush. They're getting a Monkey D. Garp and an Edward Newgate character. That's pretty dope. But on Treasure Cruise, it says our Sugofest characters selected by voting appear. Revival, question mark. Now, according to some translations that we have from members in the community, this apparently translates to a choose your own Sugofest. So that's where people can select what legends they want to be rate boosted on the following Sugofest. Now it mentions here, on the 23rd of March, Super Amazing Magellan. Now Super Amazing, for those of you who don't know, refers to Sugofest exclusive or Sugo Rare. It's basically a legend. Legend Magellan voice new record is going to be arriving. Now, it does say that the 23rd of March, so we don't know if the voting period starts at that point, or is it going to be like, you know, there's going to be a voting starting like over the next couple of days, and then we're going to lead into the Sugofest starting on that date. We don't know yet. Now, it does mention also about some other characters here, a new Marco character, and a Jesus Burgess, and a Vasco Shot. Vasco Shot is a very, very interesting choice because we don't have a character of Vasco Shot in the game yet, so this is the first introduction of this character. For those of you who don't know who that is, we'll talk about it further on in this video. It says Magellan does not seem to be the character chosen by the vote. It's Magellan. I don't know what he means by this, but yeah, it looks to be a Choose Your Own Sugofest. Magellan is going to be debuting on that Choose Your Own Sugofest. There's a new Marco apparently appearing on the 23rd as well. Not really too sure what that's about. Again, we need to see the full visual of the VJUMP to get full confirmation on some certain things. So yeah, Magellan is going to be the next Sugofest exclusive character coming to the game, which is super duper bizarre. Now, what can we really expect from a Sugofest exclusive Magellan? Now, a lot of people in the community are already making predictions as to what this guy's going to do. I think a lot of people already have a fair idea of what they can expect from this character. I think a lot of people would want this character to be something related to poison. Now, there are a couple of different options that we could have. We could potentially have a super type character, which I would personally love because I love super types. I would like this character to be a super type character that has a super type special that allows him to poison all enemies that bypass his immunity. I think that would be really, really cool. But you know, it could go even further than that. Potentially the super type special may be something for your own crew, maybe either healing or utility or orb manipulation or something like that. And then have his captain effect be something related to poison. Shout out to Chaozu, who had this really good idea, and I really wanted to talk about it because it was a really, really good idea. So he mentioned, what if the character, you know, is an attack booster to multiple classes, and then he says, you know, he will give you a bigger attack boost if the enemy is poisoned, and then have a captain effect ability very similar to this guy right here. Actually, where did I put it? Oh my god, I completely lost it. This guy right here, Katakuri. Very similar to version 1 Katakuri, where depending on how much damage you deal, you have a chance to poison all enemies. So what if there was a Magellan that has a chance to like fully poison all enemies that bypasses immunity, and then he says like, if the enemy is poisoned, your attack boost goes from like a 4.5 to a 5 times, or maybe you could start at a 4.25 and it goes up to a 5 times, something like that. Would be super interesting. I think that would be very, very unique for the character, because we see this character like Katakuri, no one has a special or a captain effect that's very similar to this in any sense, and I love using this character. He's a bunch of fun. I love it so much. So if they're going to introduce another character in the game that does something similar to that, I would be all for it. There is a couple things though, is that, you know, we do have to keep our expectations in check, because once we saw the reveal of Legend Kid coming and Legend Hawkins, you know, Hawkins never having a legend, Kid never having a legend before, we were very excited about what they were going to do, and, you know, our expectations were definitely not met, especially with Hawkins. I mean, look, looking back at things, Hawkins is still a pretty decent character to today, really. He can still do a lot of really cool things, but I think a lot of people were expecting a little bit more or something a bit different from Hawkins. So I would say, you know, don't expect this character to be the generic up to 5 times boost with a super type that goes through immunity. You know, that's what we are expecting. but he could be completely different with a lowered multiplier, but has a chance to do some really gimmicky stuff with his special or a super type special. We don't really know as of yet what they're actually going to do. But yeah, very interesting choice, because as I wanted to, you know, touch up on as well, this was the latest silhouette that we had. So obviously this is Shiryu. Now, if you can't tell it's Shiryu, it definitely is. If you look at the shape of the hat, this is Shiryu's hat, and obviously it's a swordsman. So a swordsman with the same hat as Shiryu, it's probably going to be Shiryu. Now, the reason why a lot of people saw this and instantly had predictions as to what the next legend was going to be is because I think it was like early or mid-February, we had this very interesting tweet. I made a video about this as well, about Legend Moria is going to be coming to the game at some point. The thing about it is, if you look at the background and you see what he's wearing, this is the exact same episode where he was confronted by Shiryu on that island and they had the confrontation. So it made a lot of sense once we saw this and we were just waiting to see when is Legend Moria actually coming out. It makes perfect sense to release him with a treasure map Shiryu. So we thought this was going to be the case, but then we have, boom, this huge VJUMP information that Magellan's actually arriving. Now, it is kind of weird as well, because they're also releasing Jesus Burgess and a Vasco shot, because, you know, Jesus Burgess, and we do think this is going to be pre-time skip, because, you know, Magellan obviously was quite big pre-time skip. We haven't seen him post-time skip really do anything. So it makes a lot of sense if everything that we're talking about here is pre-time skip related One Piece. So this is likely going to be this type of Jesus Burgess and Vasco shot. This is the character that is going to be debuting on Treasure Cruise for the first time. So this could be relating to Impel Down related stuff. And if it is related to Impel Down related stuff, then this silhouette makes actually a lot more sense as well. So potentially this whole celebration that they're doing and they're planning could be literally related to Impel Down and not related to Moria at all. Then again, this could still be, you know, a Shiryu for the treasure map. And what if they debut Moria on the treasure map Sugo Fest? We haven't had a character, a legend debut on a treasure map Sugo Fest in a long time. But if they're going to do it, this would still make a lot of sense because of the confrontation these two characters had. This could also mean that Moria could be, if he does debut on the Treasure Map Sugo Fest, he could be a Treasure Map Sugo Fest only character. You know how we have Sanji Pudding dual unit, only pullable on Kizuna clashes, Legend NLV2, only on Rumble banners. Moria could be a character that's limited to only Treasure Map Sugo Fest. I hope that's not the case, but, you know, if that ends up happening, you know, it does make a lot of sense with the trends that they've been doing in the game right now. So speaking about Magellan, a lot of people are trying to guess what type of typing he would be. I think that there's a couple of types you could really have a look at. I mean, if we go just real quick over to just all legends real quick, and we filter by 6-star character, we filter by ID. So we have a look at the recent types they've been releasing. So Strength, Quick, Psi, Quick, Dex, Psi, Strength, Quick Psi, Quick Dex, Strength in. So you do notice something, right? Is that obviously we had a lot of int characters release at once, but then we've actually been a really long time since they've released an int legend. So I wouldn't be surprised if Magellan does end up being an int character at all. That wouldn't actually surprise me, and I don't think that would be a bad thing either. I know a lot of people say, oh, int's really powerful, but honestly, if you really look at things, Psi is the best typing in the game right now. So I don't think it would be that bad for them to release another int legend, especially if it's not even a super type character at all, and if they go something way off the rails with something different. I don't really know what they're going to do yet. But another typing that I think it could be, just because it's Magellan, just could be Dex, because, you know, his version 1 was Dex. Wouldn't be surprised if his V2 is also Dex. I just really hope that with this Magellan, they don't do anything similar to what the version 1 was, where he's a really low attack multiplier. You needed one of every typing on your crew to get your boost, and if you deal a certain amount of damage, he poisons all enemies. See, this type of effect I could definitely see on the character. You know, very similar to Katakuri. If you do a certain amount of damage, you have a chance to inflict a debuff to them. I think that would be fine, but as long as the condition's not terrible, if his multipliers are good, and, you know, his special ability here, he does Toxic, he heals for 3 turns, and he does have the delay stuff as well. So this Magellan obviously is not a very relevant character. He's quite irrelevant, actually. He doesn't really see that much play. But I definitely think because this guy's Dex, he could also be Dex. As for classes, he could be Striker Shooter, he could be Striker Driven, he could be a Powerhouse unit. What kind of classes are these units? Yeah, Shooter Powerhouse, Striker Shooter. So Striker Shooter. Yeah, okay, so Striker, Shooter, and Powerhouse, those are the 3 ones that I would probably expect. However, I think Driven, because Driven have been getting a lot of buffs recently with the stuff on Japan, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being like Striker Driven or Shooter Driven. That could also be the case. It's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing with this guy. But another thing that's also kind of weird is they just mentioned Marco here. I don't know what this is about. Like, why would they just randomly mention Marco? Especially if this is all still pre-time skip related stuff, and they recently came off the Ace versus Akainu event, that would have been the perfect opportunity to release a new Mako character, and they didn't do it. So I don't know what's up with that. Potentially he could be just a limited rare recruit, potentially he could be a new support banner unit, I have no idea. Hard to say, but it is interesting to see that both Magellan and also Jesus Burgess are debuting on the 27th, but it says Magellan's on the 23rd. Maybe they're all batch characters releasing together. Again, we'll have to get the full information once we get the actual image, once that comes a little bit later on. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section on what you think this Magellan's going to do. This is completely left field and not what we were expecting. As I said, considering we got Shiryu and considering we knew this was coming at some point, made a lot of sense if this character released, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Unless if this translation is completely wrong and potentially it's not Magellan and it's actually Moria and they got it wrong. I mean, let me refresh the page real quick, just in case if it is incorrect. No, it still says Magellan. It still clearly says Magellan. So very, very strange. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. And if you guys did, make sure to leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, I'll see you guys within the next video.